North Carolina Zoo, one of the best-known natural habitat zoos in the nation. Our zoo has been a pioneer in creating a bold new design for exhibits, one that involved turning a section of Randolph County into environments that might be found on an entirely different continent halfway around the world. But this place really ought to be called the North Carolina Zoo and Botanical Garden, because that's what it is. An environment where the plants are as carefully chosen and displayed as the animals. A showcase for the relatively new science of zoo horticulture.
In the old days, zoos had bars and they had very sterile cages. We've come a long way in the last 25 years with zoo horticulture. We try and cluster exhibits together, and then with the plant material, with the landscapes, we recreate representations of those kind of wild places at those continents. We're a little bit ecologist, we're a little bit botanist, and we're a whole lot horticulturist. And you have to put all those skills together, and you don't actually come away from like a college degree with that. You have to kind of get that on site. There's no zoo horticulture college degree. The really kind of uniqueness about zoo horticulture is the animals and what sort of behaviors we want to elicit from the animals. And many times I use the animal curators to help me decide what they think their animals are going to do and how they're going to react, so that I know which plants to choose, or which plants might hurt them, or which plants might not hurt them, or what plants they want to actually use to get them to climb, or to get them to hide in the bush, or to make their nest, whatever. So the design principles for landscapes is much more than just how do you get a plant to grow.
Getting plants from faraway places to grow happily in North Carolina can be quite a challenge, but one that was met with great success in the Sonora Desert exhibit.
We try to mimic desert conditions as much as possible. This exhibit has low relative humidity levels. We water very sparingly. The cacti, the large cacti, say are only watered 3 times a year.
The spectacular dome building is basically 14,000 square feet of desert under glass. Inside it is almost another world, but the glass lets the view extend to the outside, where as much as possible, a desert environment also was created.
Part of what we do when we design landscapes is we have to understand the environmental criteria and the growing conditions of the plants. At the desert, it was especially hard because our growing conditions outside are certainly not desert conditions. We have a lot of rain, we have cold winters, and putting the cold and wet together, what we had to do on the design of the desert was to berm up so that we have very good drainage. We had to use a sandy loam soil, and we had to make microclimates so that we could test different things.
Like the desert, creating a rainforest in North Carolina had to be done under glass. 3,000 plants from 450 species make up this popular exhibit, home to a wide variety of birds. Who would not be at home here without the plants?
The R.J. Reynolds Forest Aviary is a tropical exhibit, plants and birds from any tropical area of the world. Instead of a rainforest, it's more like a tropical forest clearing where perhaps a large canopy tree came down and it opens up a gap so that a lot of sunlight streams through, and you have a flush of new plants trying to take advantage of the light. The birds really use the trees and the plants in the aviary. Primarily, they use them for nesting. They use them to roost at night and for shelter from other birds occasionally. There's always something flowering. We have a lot of birds that enjoy the nectar of the flowers.
Once you realize the zoo is a complex series of elaborate gardens, You then appreciate the large staff of specialists it takes to maintain it, as many horticulturists as animal keepers to keep it all running smoothly. And the horticulture staff is keenly aware of their part in the educational experience of the zoo.
The way that we can teach conservation to visitors is that they're able to see some of these rare habitats like mountain bogs. There's so few of those. And most folks probably wouldn't have the opportunity to go visit a mountain bog. Yet I think they can come here and they can see what a mountain bog looks like. And in doing so, realize that these habitats are home to some very rare plants, and that, you know, without these plants, we won't have a lot of the animals that are associated with these habitats.
Plants are really cool. They provide everything that we need. And what I perceive is that people do not appreciate plants because they are so there for them. I want them to realize just how essential plants are, and I want them to care about plants because their survival depends on it.
So don't miss out on one of the best around-the-world trips right here in North Carolina. Come on down to the zoo.